Recording.
All right, so everybody, we wanted to remind all the grantees that our Wednesday webinar calls should definitely be confidential. We're sharing a lot of information, and we really look at each organization that's a part of this grant cycle as you guys are, not friends, but you guys are all grantees. There's not like a competition for like better numbers or anything like that. So please don't share any outside information as far as another grantee's information or numbers or anything like that. Even their client information, if we go over any of that information, we want to make sure these calls are to where you guys feel comfortable to share different ideas. And I think we have that, culture here now. But like I said, we really want to make sure that these calls stay confidential and that we are providing a comfortable space for everyone to review their numbers, talk about any hardships that they're having with their grants, and maybe we can work together as one big collective to make sure at the end that all these grants are successful, okay? All right, so the first group we'll start off with is Asian Human Services. How's it going for you guys?
Hey, good morning, everyone. But we are okay. So far, we have 70 participants. Of 17, 12 they are attending the training. To finish trainings, now we are waiting for the final exam licensing. I have one client. I put him on the hold. I was in the touch with Jim, and I think that clients deserve to be on the hold for the 180 days until some personal situation will be resolved.
Okay.
And I have 2 clients so far that I'm afraid that will be no cooperation with us. We have hard time to follow up the clients, even they missing some class, but I want to maybe check for 1-2 weeks, and I will know what we'll do with them.
Okay, so of the 17, we're talking about possible 3, the 1 hold and then 2 that are
Yes.
on the fence, right? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm documenting it right. Okay.
And I have 5 pendings. They're waiting to finish all the enrollment process, everything, and for the class, what will be probably June, and we will enroll those 5 clients on the June. And I plan maybe June, it will be just to enroll those 5 clients, and July to finish with the rest of the enrollments and to move to the paid work experience, licensing, and employment.
Okay, and then just a reminder, so I know we talked about you guys possibly moving to the CASA, just to give everybody an update that we've been receiving. It looks like the TABE 11 and 12 is the test that everyone has to take. So we want to make sure that we're sending that message out to all the grantees and everybody understands that. So there is not an alternative test. The CASA is used if the client is not English speaking. And so you can use other assessments, but the main test is definitely the TABE 11 and 12. And as you guys know, that has a date of by July 1, all agencies have to move to that. So if there's anybody that has any issues or any questions about that, please email us. I did send out the training for the TABE 11 and 12. It's in your email. And let me know if you have any questions about that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of the feedback, because I know a lot of agencies are saying the test is long, and that is feedback we definitely need to give out, excuse me, to the to like the management level or the people that I would think it would be. Tammy, would it be the education since we're following adult ed? I'm not sure. But I know they will need the feedback of, how was it for agencies to implement the TABE 11 and 12 and just feedback. So if there's anything you're noting about it, please send us an email, let us know. If you're having any issues with the locator test or anything like that, just send us an email so we can make sure that everybody has what they need. So in July, it's kind of like a smooth transition for all the agencies.
Okay.
everything else going okay? Spending is okay? And what about
Yes.
supportive services?
Supportive services still just Nccer card, and I expect now when they start with the paid work experience, those clients may be to cover uniform or some
Got it. Okay.
for
Perfect.
the hospital.
Perfect. And I see all 17 of your clients in the system. Okay, awesome. BCS?
Sorry, I have my partner hospital. They're just waiting for clients to be licensed, and immediately we will transfer them to the.
Awesome. Okay. BCS, is anybody on? Okay. Erie House.
We have 3 students that are good to go, and we're continuing to make phone calls to set up orientation.
When you say they're good to go, are they're tape tested and they're in the system?
I have not put them in the system yet, but they have been tape tested, and I have done the initial interviews with them.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for your response.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. Metropolitan.
Hi, Tara.
Hey.
So we have 19 participants currently in our construction pathway program. We have a few participants that need to do their CPR training, and a few that still need to do their OSHA training. We've started recruiting for the next cohort.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see. So you have 5 that need it, and then 1 that needs it for the. Okay. Okay.
We're working with St. Augustine to get those participants through those certifications.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Don with OAI.
Good morning.
Hey.
I'm sorry, I had trouble connecting, so I'm just getting on the call, so I'm not sure what's going on here.
Oh, so I would say make sure you listen to, once Natasha posts the webinar online, go listen to the first 10 minutes. We just made some announcements there, but
Okay.
we're basically going over your participant numbers, how many people you have enrolled in the program, any program updates, and then how are you doing on credentials.
Okay. I see that 4 is listed there. We actually have 13 that in-school youth that are now in the process of boot camp right before they get into internships, and they've all earned their forklift certifications, and I'd have to check the numbers, but I believe 9 of them also got their NIMS certifications. So I'll make sure that those get up. I check those and make sure that they're correct in the system.
Okay, so yeah, for the forklift we show 11, and then for the NIMS is enlisted. We don't have any.
Yeah, that should definitely be in there. I did that myself, so I'll make sure that they're correct.
Okay, so now, and then for the other people that did not, for the 4 or so that didn't, are they going to retest or for NIMS?
They have retested and still not passed. So what we're going to do is place them in lift positions.
In what again?
What we'll do is in the internships and then the eventual permanent placement, we'll make sure that they get into forklift positions.
Oh, okay. Okay, because all 13 have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And then Peoria Public Schools?
Yes, good morning. This is Sarah Chapman. So we have 12 registrants certified, and all just graduated this past Saturday and received their high school diploma and are now starting to enter the workforce. So they wrapped up their pre-apprentice internships and work-based learning opportunities, and several of them, those opportunities they had throughout the school year have turned into full-time job offers. So just documenting that, and They all 12 are certified, received their first aid CPR certification, their forklift safety, their soft skills high professional development certificate, and we are still wrapping up their core carpentry credential. So I need to get that in there. And they've all been pre and post test now on the TABE.
Okay. So what about the NCCER credential? Does all 12 have that?
That's the core one that we're still wrapping up. So that's information I need to get from our work-based learning instructor and get that put in. But I do believe, yes, all 12 should have it.
Okay. So I would definitely look at your numbers in the system because like for the forklift, it looks like 4 are only entered. And then
Okay.
for the CPR first aid, it looks like only 2. And
Okay.
you see how, okay,
they all
so
have it. I just probably haven't put it in the system yet. I apologize.
No, you're fine. But I also want to show everybody. So you see how this is making 2 credentials for, so you have actually 10 entered. It's just splitting it out. So there must be like an extra space or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. Yeah. It's
so what I would
up on 2 different lines.
So what I would do is actually click on one of these 8.
Okay.
Copy and paste like the credential, however you have it in the system for one of these people, and then for these 2, just delete it, or not delete it, but backspace it out and just paste it because you only have 2 there, and then it'll put everybody down here for 10.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I see that the OSHA.
Oh, you know why? Here it is, because it's an R missing. That's how sensitive the system is. It's an R missing.
Oh, I can't even spell certificate. Okay.
It's okay.
That would help. I'll go back in and change that today.
Yeah, so once you do that, it'll move them down and you'll have actually 10 in the system. So everybody, please, I cannot stress this enough. The system is very, very sensitive. So it will create, so when you're running these reports, because you guys should definitely be running these on a weekly basis, go ahead, you can hit show or hide for the credentials. And underneath your organization, it'll tell you exactly the name of the credentials that you guys are offering. And you'll be able to check and see. It looks like one person's missing from the OSHA 32.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to check and see, where your credentials are falling and if they're correct.
And how do you run this report, Tara? Is this the Julio?
Yeah. So you just hit it right here, reports.
Make
sure you have Youth Career Pathways and hit select. And it'll pull it up for you. There's
and
also
that's a report on everything.
Yeah, this is you, and yours may just show up with just your agency on there. But you can also click. I don't want to click it right now, but Natasha put us it's management button. So on your dashboard, you'll be able to see it. It says management report, but you can either hit it through reports, Youth Career Pathway select, or you can just hit that management button.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, give us an update. Let us know about the 12 if all of them have their NCCER. And if so, that's perfect. I just want to make sure we're reporting. And I need to add that they're all high school graduates.
Yes, they are now. Yes. And I was going to ask you a question to prove that. Do I need to upload a copy of their high school transcript or their diploma or?
Yes, and that's actually a measurable skill gain for you too.
Yes, that's what I thought, because some of them did not improve on the TABE, but if we can prove that they graduated, that would count.
There you go. And make sure there is an upload button in Illinois WorkNet where you can upload, all the certificates should be uploaded for your clients, and something like their transcripts would be a good place to make sure that information is in there too.
Okay, great.
All right. So just send us an email once you have everything uploaded, and I just like to go in and make sure the system, what you're putting in the system, is actually showing too, so we're good to go.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
No problem. All right, skills, last but not least.
Hi, Tara. This is Brian and Tahita.
Hi.
So we have 11 total. We just haven't finished entering them all in.
Okay. And the 11, have they started school?
So I believe 5 of them have already started school. The other ones won't start school until August. So they're currently all working right now.
Okay, so 5 and they're all at Harold Washington?
Yes.
Okay, 5 at Harold Washington, and then the other 6 will start in August.
Correct.
Okay. We'll start in August. Okay. And then did you, just want to make sure, okay, 5, 6. Okay, and so these, they're all in IWDS and certified, and they have their testing?
So they all have testing. They haven't been certified in iWoods yet because we haven't finished entering them in.
Okay. So they're not going to come over to Illinois WorkNet, so that's why it says 2. They're not going to come over until you have everything entered for them.
Right, right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I don't know if you guys are on the call. I know you guys are using the CASA for your students, and I'm sure we're going to have a conversation about that.
Absolutely.
Huh?
No, I was saying absolutely, yeah.
So did you hear that about the tape?
We did.
Oh, okay, okay. So let us know if Daniel wants that. I'm sure he's going to want to have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Just let us know as soon as possible when you guys would like to schedule that, and we will get that going. But anybody else that you're putting in the program from today forward, honestly, I would just use the tape because you don't want to get into the thing of all 45 of your clients have a CASA, and then you're trying to go back and all that.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then let us know when. Do you know when you'll have them like certified in the IWDS system?
We're gonna try to do it today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So just send me an email later on today, and I'll make sure that they're coming over.
Okay.
All right. And then the first service, remember, is the ISS because you would already come. Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else have any questions before Tammy takes over? Sorry, Tammy, we took 20 minutes.
I got
no
a
worries.
quick question, Sarah.
Go ahead.
So remember when you sent me the email about not adding the work paid experience? Am I still not adding that yet?
The work paid experience.
Remember you sent me an email about work paid experience and the occupational skills training?
So for occupational skills training, the 5 that are at Harold Washington should have that service. But remember, all your people have to be registrants first.
Okay.
So you guys have to.
So when I go into iWoods, I am adding the work paid experience service, right?
Oh, you're right, because we're not paying for it out of the grant. That's your question.
Right.
That's right. Let me make a note. I had to bring that up to our management team. We still wanted to track that. That's right. Because we didn't know whether to call it paid work experience because we're not paying for it out of the grant.
Right.
I will look at that. I will get you an answer today behind that, Brian.
Okay.
But make sure that you're entering, first make sure they're certified in the system, and then for those 5 at Harold Washington, make sure you're entering the occupational skills training for them.
Okay. Well, I can't enter that yet until Paul updates the thing, and I don't know if he sent it to you already, but I did tell him yesterday that he needs to add them, and I showed him which ones to add, so I don't know if he sent that to you.
Wait, until he updates what?
So the list, I guess the modification or whatever form you sent him to add occupational skills training, because remember, we weren't coming up in the provider list.
Yeah, but you guys, skills, you wouldn't be providing the occupational skills training, right? Because you're not giving them a certificate or anything or training them, right?
No.
Yeah, so it wouldn't go under you guys. Oh, are you saying Harold Washington is not on the list?
I don't think they are. I didn't see them, but I'll double check and let you know.
Yeah, so let him know. It would be only for Harold Washington. It wouldn't be for you guys because you're not providing the training for them, the skills training.
Yeah,
it would be the college that's actually providing that. So can you let me know? Send me an email, let me know. But I will definitely talk to our management team about how we should note the paid work experience, and we'll email that back to you.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else going once? Twice? All right. Tammy, I am going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay, let me see if I can share mine.
And I am
You're going to have to let me know if you see the...
Yep, we see it.
Okay, perfect. I'm not going to obviously go page by page through this. One of the things we just want to make sure that you guys are utilizing the Youth Career Pathways Procedures Manual. And if you go into your Youth Career Pathways Program resources, it's this Procedures Manual right here, the PDF file. So, and the big thing is, we spend a lot of time on this, but the one other thing we want to mention to you guys is, use this as a tool. And also, as you're using it, this is a living document also. So if you have recommendations
on things that you might think are useful to have in the manual, please let us know, because like I said, this is a living document too, and we can change it as we go along and as we learn new experiences with working with these grants. But once again, it has the overview. It's broken into specific elements as far as the overview: essential youth career pathway program elements, program requirements, program administration, and then the financial regulations and everything. So anytime you have a question, this is a point of reference for you to come and look at this. And it's also not just for the procedures manual, but in the developing your program as far as what makes a good career pathway. And there's several elements within this that goes through that. But the first page is just icons to help identify different objects, objects, like if it's a policy related, if it's a task related function, you can take a look at those, and those will be throughout the document. The main thing, though, like I said, we are all supposed to be doing career pathways, and the WIOA defines career pathways. It has these 7 elements as far as the career pathway. It's, aligning it with skills in the industry, aligning with a full range of secondary and post-secondary education. So this is what is actually in the WIOA Act as far as developing a career pathway. And for career pathways, the participant it needs to be focused on instruction and training. It should be you should have a meaningful assessment, which everybody knows now our assessment is at TABE 11 and 12, so everybody has to utilize those. It provides support services and navigation. It has direct connection to employment. So that's a real key element when we're looking at career pathways, is that connection with employment. And as you move further through this, we talk about targeted populations, which I think, you guys are all fine with your population serving. Illinois WorkNet Board came up with 10 successful elements for opportune youth and serving them. So I won't go through all of these, but a lot of them, once again, is your partnerships with your education and employers. Business engagement is huge. Credentials is a big one. And as Tara was talking, as you're documenting these, credentials need to be, industry recognized, authorized credentials by a specific body. And there are certain credentials like OSHA and CPR, which are good credentials, but they're not recognized as credentials in WIOA. So, we need to have higher level credentials and in this program. And I know, OSHA is a great credential for a lot of different areas, but then you also need to follow that up with, like you're doing like forklift training or CNC operation or whatever. And we like to see credentials that can be stackable. So if individuals want to move on and, increase their abilities and employment, that there is an opportunity for them to move forward. So once again, this is a key element in the programs that we're trying to design. So just, you can take a look at that. Partnerships is huge. Obviously, you guys have a lot of partners with your training providers, employment partners. Business engagement, on the business engagement side, there's really 2 sides to that. One of it is for paid work experience, because these grants should have an element of kind of earn and learn, and it's work-based learning. So, and the work-based learning needs to be tied to the education component of that also. So, take a look at that. Business engagement is huge in this. And then obviously the other side is permanent employment. Now, in the perfect world, it would be great if you were able to get an individual into training and had a paid work experience with one of your business partners at the same time, which resulted in permanent placement. We know that doesn't happen all the time, but that's kind of the perfect model. But you need to have the work experience, and then you also need to have the permanent placement for these individuals. So, and the procedure just talks about key elements in business engagement. You can take a look at that. I'm not going to go in depth
Tammy,
in
can
that.
I just want to put a pin right there. When we were talking about making sure that the work experiences that you're giving to your students has to be in the sector that you're training them in. So we can't give them a credential in welding and then you're getting them a job or work experience at Walmart, because that's not in the same sector. So if you have any questions about that, please let us know, because we have to make sure those work experiences as well as the permanent employment, those are 2 different things. Both of those have to be in the sector that you are training them in.
Exactly. I mean, that's the intention of these, is that you're targeting specific sectors and industries that you have partnerships with. And so, I mean, you want to align those customers and the training with those specific industries. So, and the same way, like she said, with the credentials are key to this program too. So, making sure that they are stackable credentials, that they're relevant to the industry that you're working with. and that these individuals will be placed, like you said, in employment within those industries where those credentials are utilized. We go into the high demand industries and high skills. This is, once again, a lot of this is in your pre-setup when you're looking at the industries and occupations that you want to work for. Your work-based learning, then once again, this is a key component. There's a lot of different things that can be charged to work-based learning. That includes some of your staff time setting up the work-based learning, working with the participants at work-based learning sites. And I know we do have, skills, their work-based learning is paid by the employer. So, and there is a 20% requirement under that work-based learning component. So there is, like I said, other, besides just flat out wages for the participants, other things can be charged to that. But a big portion of this could be and is, related to the wages earned by the youth associated with that also. So I just want you to take a look at that. A really key thing, and it's also in the WIOA, is, and you hear several different things. It's called ISS, Individual Service Strategy, and IWDS. But really what it is a career plan. And that's what you're putting in the Illinois WorkNet system. So all of your information goes into the WorkNet system up front to identify these youth and to develop a living, breathing plan for them. So you should be looking at that plan all the time, identifying, is things change? Do we need to add specific services? Do we need to refer them to other types of services? It needs to be a living, breathing document, and that's in the Illinois WorkNet system. And that is, like Tara told you, the first step that you need to put in IWDS is the ISS, and that's the plan. So that is a very key element with this too. And then one of the things that, and I'm not sure how familiar you guys are, but there's 14 elements associated with this also, that is identified in the legislation too, in the 14 youth elements. And the program should be able to address all of these elements, not necessarily internally. You can do this through referral processes. So, and not all youth will need all of these elements, but there's tutoring, accessing secondary school services, paid and unpaid work experience. I'm not going to go through all of these. In some cases, you guys maybe, or a youth is not going to need an entrepreneurial skills training, and that's understandable. But if a youth did, then you have to have those resources so that you can refer them to the appropriate services for that. And then these elements, and it's kind of a behind the scene thing that you guys don't see, but we actually link the services that you enter to these elements, so we can identify which of the elements are being addressed by this specific program. And, we can identify which are of the elements, or the key elements, I guess you would say, that are being addressed in this specific program. So, and once again, to contextualize learning and work-based skills, it should be done, simultaneously in some cases. I mean, you could do education and work experience after, but they have to connect. So the training and the work-based learning have to definitely connect. So any questions on any of this yet before I move on? Okay. Go ahead.
Do we need to document work-based learning through some time tracking or by the percentage of the involvement of the staff?
As far as your staff, yeah, there needs to be, yes, you need to be able to document time spent on working, say, with employers in work-based learning. So, and further in this document, I can show you some things that, you guys should be using. You need to have a Worksite Assessment and a Worksite agreement. And like I said, hopefully you guys are if you haven't placed in Worksites, you're at the worksite, you're monitoring, you're making sure that, the youth are doing what they're supposed to do, and that it's a safe place for them to work and all of that. So time spent doing those types of activities can definitely be charged to the, to that paid work experience or the work-based learning line item. And we do have, we don't have, I don't believe there's any state policy on that yet, but there is a TEGL that's out there that talks about what can be charged to that. And I do believe that's in our resource page. And we'll take a look at that, once I go through this. But two of the other things that are important with these grants, because they are kind of pilot projects, is measuring the results and continuous improvement. So once again, one of the things we want to learn from you guys is what can be improved, what can we improve when we're doing new NOFOs, what can be improved in your specific projects also. So we always want to look at continuous improvement, and then sustainability. So one of the components of these projects is the fact that it can exist after the grant funds are gone, and how that happens. So that needs to be built in your program too. Okay, we've got this up and running. Now, how are we going to continue this now that this grant is over? So those are important elements, in these projects. Program requirements was, like I said, there's Youth Career Pathway, the tools that we have. You have to do, let me see here, where are we at? We're using the WorkNet system. Like I said, once again, that's your upfront system, and IWDS is the reporting system. So in IWDS, you're actually entering, you're certifying and the individuals for eligibility, or your partner is, and you're entering services, and you're going to document their credentials and MSGs, and that will sync in with Illinois WorkNet. The Illinois WorkNet side is the planning side, so that's, and the communication side. So on that side, you're actually developing the plan, and then it's a little bit more user friendly as far as looking at your information and the data and looking at reports and stuff with it too. So we're hoping in the future there'll be a lot more integration between these two systems, and we can gravitate maybe to a little bit more on the WorkNet side, but we're working on that. Once again, outreach and recruitment, you guys are probably here or doing this, but take a look at this information that we've provided in outreach and recruitment. And when you're looking at this, if there's any holes, if there's stuff we're missing, or you're like, this is what we use and it works well, let us know, because we want to be able to add to this document, anything that's best practices and things that we're learning, by doing these projects. So you can take a look at that. Once again, I'm not going to go through this step by step, but intake and assessments. The assessment is the TABE, but the TABE 11, 12 is important, but other assessments are important too. So there's other assessments you need to look, looking at specific potential challenges that these individuals have to address. Use other assessments too, by all means, and then you can document those in the WorkNet system also. So eligibility, this is policy. We're not going to go through this entire document, but if you have any questions relating to eligibility, this is where you would come to and take a look at what the requirements are for that. Once again, we talk about the assessment section in here. I'm going to kind of feed through some of this. We talk about developing the career plan in Illinois WorkNet and what needs to be addressed in that. It talks about effective goal setting here and how to establish goals in WorkNet for these youth. And so, please take a look at that also. And then allowable services under WIOA, so it's all of the different list of services that, can be allowed with the funding. And then support services here too. And we do have, I think it's a fact sheet on support services that I believe is out in the resource tools too that you can reference. And then we reference, different TEAGLs, like I said, support services and different TEAGLs here, so you can take a look at these, which are DOL provided. And here's the support services elements right here. So you can take a look at that if you're interested in what support services there are. Now, a key one, and this is a kind of a tough one for you guys, is the follow-up service, because there is a year requirement for follow-up. And more than likely, your grants will be over before that year of follow-up is done. But you still have to do that year of follow-up. It's required in legislation. So that year follow-up has to be done. It has to be a two-way communication. I know in some cases, either if the student actually says they don't want to have any follow-up, you can document that, or in some cases you just lose them. You just can't find the students, and we understand that. But you need to try and make this a two-way communication, and especially if you have the relationships with the employers and their place there. If you got an employer relationship, that communication can be with the employer also. And you could be saying, okay, are they still doing well? Is there any, thing that they need? So you can document that as communication too, along with the communication with the customer. So that's pretty key. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I know, once these grants will be all said and done, but you'll probably still be hearing from us saying, okay, we don't see anything in the system as far as you communicating with this participant. It has to be at least on a monthly basis. So once again, we get into some case management information. I'm going to speed through this. Industry recognized credentials, like we said, those are key. Here the food sanction, CPR, and OSHA are credentials that cannot be standalone credentials, so you have to have other things that are with those. They need to be stackable and articulated coursework within the career pathway. So you just take a look at this industry recognized credential section and make sure what you're offering, meets these specific guidelines in here.
I want to see, does anybody have a question about that? because that speaks directly to what Tammy was talking about. Is that's great that they're getting the OSHA 10, OSHA 30, and the CPR, but those are not recognized by the Department of Labor. So it has to be that they're getting a welding certificate, any extra, I would say, industry recognized credentials. So does any groups have questions about that? If you have any questions and want to see if your credential is an industry recognized credential, please send us an email immediately so we can look that over. But all agencies should definitely have an industry recognized credential that is not included with the CPR or the OSHA 10. Okay.
Tara, this is Sarah Chapman. So do we still need to put in the CPR and the OSHAs?
Yeah, it's
still
good
want
to
those
note it
in there?
because you do want to show that your students are, they've completed these credentials, but you don't want to say my student is successful. Look, they have a CPR and an OSHA 10. In your case, it would be that they have the NCCER credential is what makes it the
and the forklift.
And the forklift. So that's good when agencies do that because maybe someone didn't get the NCCER credential, but they got the forklifting credential. So you want to make sure.
Correct. We wouldn't approve a program that the only credentials that they're receiving is OSHA and CPR or food sanitation.
I'll put them all in there, but it's just good to note that some are industry recognized and some are not.
Yeah, and the OSHA, it's recognized. I mean, it's some, industries it's required. So it's not like it's not a valuable thing to have. It's just, it's not a standalone.
Okay.
It needs to have, something else that's,
sure.
more
and sorry
relevant.
To jet in. Sure. And sorry to jet in, but I just wanted to update Tara for Peoria Public Schools. I just received word from our instructor that out of the 12, 11 did get their NCCER core credential. One did not, but he does have the forklift. So hopefully he can still be certified. I mean, that still counts.
He can be placed, right?
He can be placed, yes. Sorry, that's what I meant. So that's our update. And we will be receiving their certificates in the mail, but not until June. Looks like we should be getting those the week of June 11th. So is that too late to put them in over the summer? Or I just wanted to give you the update on that.
Yeah, no, you should still enter. And the thing that you should do too in the WorkNet system is you can actually upload the credential itself in the customer files. So, we recommend that you upload the credential in Illinois WorkNet and then you document the credential in IWDS.
I'm not sure what you mean.
The upload button. So if you pull up one of your clients under your client's name, it'll have an upload button you can click, and you can upload their CPR, their OSHA 10, like all of those, the transcript. Remember we were talking about the transcript?
Oh, yeah.
Those all should be uploaded.
But I'm saying the core one, we won't have a physical certificate to upload until June 15th. Is that a problem?
Fine. But upload what you have now, and then in June, just upload it when you get it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, that's fine.
But I would still put it in the system because they have it. You just don't have the physical copy of it.
Oh, I see what you mean. I can just say that they've received it and at what date, but the actual physical copy won't be uploaded until the
And I would just note, and put that in the case note, hey, we will receive the physical copy in June 2019. But that way, because they've already earned the credential in May, so you do want to document that.
Okay, I can do that.
Just make sure.
I think I get it now. Thank you.
And one of the things I want to point out, there is, and the Illinois WorkNet team has been really instrumental in this also, there's a National Credential Registry, which is national. I mean, there's a lot of states that are utilizing it, I think, more effectively than even Illinois is right now. But you can get in there and you can look at, credentials. And this is something that, moving forward, that we want to see more activity in Illinois as far as sectors, providers of credentials, that they're putting the information in this credential engine. And then you can access the credentials through that, and too. So it's a way of looking at different types of credentials through the National Credential Registry. Once again, work experience is a key component of this. I'm not going to go real in depth in this, but there's different opportunities and work experience. It can be an OJT, it can be an internship, pre-apprenticeship, or paid work experience, summer employment opportunities. So with these youth grants, I mean, a good opportunity is summer employment, and connecting them, especially if they're in school youth, connecting them with the employers that are aligned with the training that they're working with. So, And once again, there's a 20% requirement for work-based learning in this. Essential employability skills, this is key for youth and adults. So that's what we hear a lot from the employers is you get them to show up on time, we can train them. So, a big thing that needs to be done is working with the essential employability skills and personal ethic, work ethic, communication skills, and teamwork are some of the areas that are identified under this. And so that should be an element that's built into all of you guys' programs is working with them so that they show up on time, that they're communicating correctly in the workplace, that they're dressed appropriately in the workplace, whatever those criteria are for those specific sectors. And then we talked about the program administration. We're not going to go too much in this. You can look at this, but it talks about whose roles and responsibilities. For the most part, with you guys do everything unless you have a partner that's doing the eligibility certification in the IWDS system. And I know a few of you guys do have that. Some of you are doing it yourself, but so that just defines what the roles are. Some of the things that we, especially when we're looking up front is the relationships and having MOUs with your training providers, with your business partners, and with the local workforce investment area. One of the things that in looking at sustainability for these is the connectivity with WIOA. And if you're in Cook County, connecting with LWS 7 and integrating, with what they're offering too. So, that's a key component when we're looking at sustainability. Once these grants are done, is that's one of your partners you should be looking at and reaching out to. Okay, we're going to buzz kind of through this section. Okay, so worksite placement. Once again, you should have worksite placement agreement and worksite placement assessment. And there's some forms that are in this document that you can use for that. So just take a look at that with your work sites to make sure that you're doing, your due diligence when you're looking at the work site. And then the monitoring of the work sites.
For those that are already working, please make sure you go out to those sites because it was supposed to be done prior to putting students at the site. If you have not done it, it's fine. We've passed that margin. Make sure you go out there now. You should know where they work, the location, just different things you should know. Is it safe for your students to be there? So make sure all of that is documented and that the pages are uploaded in Illinois WorkNet. Does anybody have any questions about that? That's really big.
And we'll show you some examples. I think they're attached to this of an agreement and an assessment that you can use. And then something else that I think is a really key feature, and I think it's underutilized, is evaluations. So through Illinois WorkNet, you can do evaluations. You can have like your employer do an evaluation based upon the person, and you can send them a link to do the evaluations. So this is something, take a look at this, and then if you have any questions related to this, you can reach out to Tara, me, or Natasha is really the expert at this one and using that. But I would strongly recommend to utilize that. You should get feedback from your employers at these worksite placements and see what's going on. So if you utilize this tool or some tool, there needs to be some sort of an evaluation that's completed at the worksite placement. So I'm going to skip over this. It's just kind of a layout of everything. Rules and regulations, we'll go through this just real quick. You guys are pretty much aware. You have the GRS that you have to do your accounting in. We've got the quarterly reports, which is the performance report, and financial report, which is supported by trial balances. You've got reports that you need to submit through IWDS, and Tara's, sends you information on that, to let you know exactly what's due and when it's due. So this is just information. Like I said, if you have any questions or you need sites to go to find this information, that's all provided in here too. And we go into the payroll distribution. Like I said, once again, and monitoring, you will be monitored. So one of the things you can look at here is, the components of the monitoring. Our monitoring staff will be the ones that will come out and do this. And I don't think we have a schedule put together for that yet, but it will happen. And actually with you guys, yeah, it will happen probably sometime mid this year to probably to the end of the year. Tara, do you have any ideas when you think that might occur?
We don't, but I would definitely say make sure your files are in order now. So that way you guys are already ready. So because sometimes they give a notice and it's a couple of weeks, but sometimes just, it's really quick. So my advice to all agencies is make sure you have your file folders in order. You have the checklist that shows everything that should be in your files for eligibility purposes. And then if you want to stick the certificates and all that other stuff in there as well. But please make sure your files are in order because, like I said, sometimes we do get a long notice, but sometimes it's rather quickly.
Right. And so definitely references youth file tips, excuse me, to look at what's recommended, in there for your documentation. And then performance requirements. There are 4 performance measures for this, and you guys are going to be graded basically even after the programs are over. So it's looking at second quarter after exit and fourth quarter after exit, employment or education, credentials attained, and immeasurable skill gains. So, just make sure that you're documenting your credentials, your measurable skill gains, and then the employment or placed in secondary education or post is, key to this. Post-secondary education is key to this also. And the thing that you guys have to keep in mind is these performance, you guys are thrown into, since this is state grants, you're thrown into state performance. And if you guys' performance, as a whole is bad, or state performance is bad. So, Tara does a really good job, and that's why, she has this, where are you at, what's going on, how are we doing with this, how are we doing with that? Because, if we have a lot of grantees that cumulatively do a bad job, then the state will fail its performance. So it's very, very important that we keep on our performance and monitor that. We kind of talked about grant reporting procedures, so that's pretty much it. The rest of this is attachments. You can look at the vision and theory of action. You can read through that. I do want to show you as we get down here, we have some, charts as far as post-secondary career expansion. Here's the Worksite Assessment document that you can utilize for your worksite assessments, and then we also have a worksite agreement document here that could be utilized. And you can adapt these if need be, but these are the components, that are important to have in there. You're supposed to identify jobs, hours worked, supervise all of this in the worksite agreements and signed off by your worksite. And then this is Flowcharts. We do have timesheets too. So with these, if you're doing paid work experience, you're the employee of record, so you need to have timesheets, and you need to have them signed off by whoever is the site supervisor and the employee. So we give you a timesheet that you could potentially use, but you need something in your file that identifies their time and work. And then the rest of this is like just some glossaries and other information. So we really just want you guys to take a look at this. I'm sure you guys are aware of it, but use this as a tool and a resource. And if you ever like, oh, I wonder how we need to do this or that, reference the procedures manual. And like I said, once again, if there's ever anything that if there's a gap in here that you're like, this should be in the procedures manual and it's not, then let us know. Or if there's a best practice that you think should be in there, let us know. And that would be great. Any questions?
I was going to say, anybody have any questions about the timesheet? So especially for your folks that are already working, you need those timesheets for your students. Because that's also a way, if you're claiming employee time on the work-based learning part of your grant, that's a way that you can show that they are out, they are, you guys are getting, Tammy, you're still sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
okay. That's a way you can note that you're actually doing some work on behalf of the grant or for your client. So make sure all your clients have their their timesheets, they're uploaded and everything like that. Anybody have any questions about any of this?
Okay, I'm not sharing anymore, right?
No, you're good. Did DCS join us?
I had to respond to somebody real quick here.
Okay.
Tara, so where do we find that procedures manual and the example timesheets?
The procedures manual.
Here, I can share my screen again here real quick.
Is it on Illinois WorkNet?
Yeah, so if you go to, can you see this? It's Youth Career Pathways Program Resources.
Yes.
The procedures manual is right here. It's right under the instructions.
The second one, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then let me see if we have, and if we don't have, we can put those documents out like as a Word document. Because right now
the worksite evaluation is down there. I just saw that.
Did you see that down there?
Yep, right there for document. Yep. Go down right there.
Oh, yeah.
Worksite placement and payroll.
That's for the
that's the
upload.
timesheet.
That's instructions for the upload.
And then the worksite evaluation forms are there with the instructions. So if you have a question about anything, I would look here first, just to see if there's a you know, an example or anything like that. We try to put examples and things out here for everyone. But
also, hey, don't forget that over on the far left-hand side under guidance, there's like, you know, the different like articles that have all the related resources.
Yeah, and then we can take that assessment and the worksite agreement, put that into like a Word document. So we'll, Natasha, I'll send that to you, and we can put it on under here under documents or something. So that way you can actually, it's a usable document. I mean, you could probably pull it right out of the PDF if you wanted to do that, but we'll put it as a Word document.
Okay, thank you.
anybody have any questions? I just want to make sure we're all comfortable with what we got. Okay, and just remember, so for anybody that, because I know we have a couple groups that have already started, just make sure you have, I mean, at this point you'll have to backdate them, but make sure you have those timesheets for your students and make sure that they're uploaded in the Illinois WorkNet system and that you also have a copy in their file. All right, email us. Anybody that owes us an email, please send them any updates. If you have any questions, please give us a call or email us so we can go ahead and get that to you. All right, everybody.
Okay, have a great day, everybody.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.